How's it going, Guardians? It is your boy Turkey here at SCN Hub, bringing you another Hunter build video. And today, I finally am able to bring you something I've been waiting for quite some time. I was like farming this class item in Dual Destiny forever, and that is going to be Spirit of Caliban and the Spirit of Gyrfalcon. I like to get into the videos as quick as possible, so without further ado, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Any adjustments you feel like that could be made to the build, let me know in the comment section, or any weapon swap outs that you feel like are acceptable that could possibly enhance it. Also, let me know please as well. But let's hop into it. So first and foremost, as I had mentioned, I'm using the Relativism class item for the Hunter. We're clearly on Prismatic, and like I said, we're rocking Gyrfalcon and Caliban. Now, for those who do not know, whenever you have Spirit of the Gyrfalcon, your Void weapons gain volatile rounds after you emerge from being invisible, and also we have Spirit of Caliban, powered melee final blows, trigger, and ignition. So we have a very chunky bit of ad clear, and we also have the Gyrfalcon for our weapons. And the idea of this is to be creating whether it be void explosions or obviously ignitions. And the fluidity of this build and just how it plays in either dealing with ads or just swapping to bosses and larger enemies is pretty solid. You're not going to be getting the most like the best boss DPS out of this, but I feel like you'll shred anything else. And as long as you have like competent teammates, or you're just not really worried about how quickly you're melting stuff, this is going to be efficient and you will get things done. So obviously paired with it, with our exotic, it's not anything too crazy, and truth be told, I chose the Kvostov for some of the seasonal things that are available to us now. And whenever I'm saying what we have available, I'm actually talking about one of the new artifact perks, which is Finders Keepers. Picking up special or heavy ammo grants a chance to receive an armor charge. And obviously, the Kvostov does have Shoot to Loot on it, which is one of my favorite perks. A lot of you here at the channel probably are aware of that. I love Shoot to Loot, but this actually interacts really, really well with the build also, and I think it just fits perfect. Next up, in my opinion, this is really the star of the build, and this is what you're going to be seeing and using a lot. And this is, I was lucky enough to get this the first run of Vesper's Host, and that's going to be the VS Velocity Baton. I got Repulsor Brace and Destabilizing Rounds, and the origin trait on it is Bray Legacy. Damage with this weapon generates a small amount of ability energy for the one closest to a full charge, so a little bit of extra ability charge rate on the weapon itself. For those who aren't familiar, this basically functions the same as Lost Signal, although it is void. And the mod that we have on it is going to be Synergy. Final blows with this weapon have a chance to create an elemental pickup matching its damage type, or an Orb of Power for kinetic weapons that deal kinetic damage. Obviously, we're going to be using the one to generate our class pickup, and this also ties into the new seasonal mod. So it's going to tie into a couple spots actually. So first and foremost, we have the Old God's Right. After picking up a Void Breach, dealing damage with a Void weapon creates a rain of seeking projectiles, which is what you've seen in some of the trailers and some of the people that have sweated. I've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals, so unfortunately I do not have this unlocked yet. Also, we have Void Renewal. While Devour is active, Void weapon final blows have a chance to generate a Void Breach. And we will have Devour active at times, and also if you want to run base Void, you could run this with Gyrfalcon. The build doesn't change too much, you just wouldn't have that Caliban's. So this is a very, in my opinion, void heavy season, and as I mentioned, we do have that Shoot to Loot perk for Finders Keepers, so you're able to generate an armor charge just by snagging some ammo potentially from far away. And last but not least, we have Rapid Final Blows while Devour is active, grant a bonus to reload and handling. So we have a lot of void stuff going on this time in this act, and that's really where this build is going to shine. Now, in my opinion, the heavy slot is really something that's up to your discretion. I have a couple old reliables. Obviously, you have the Envious Assassin bait and switch. You can see I have 9 total defeats on it. I just don't really care too much to use it, but I know it's definitely a meta slot. I'm obviously a retrofit fan, and I have 12k kills on it, and this is going to be the crafted retrofit, and I have 4 times the charm and target lock. And the origin trait is going to be Ambush, improves range handling and damage against combatants during the opening moments of engagement. I absolutely love this weapon. It shreds, and especially with volatile rounds. And if you were there whenever it first came out, this weapon was one of the best DPS in the game simply because of how volatile rounds was interacting with it. It's definitely fallen off of its precipice as one of the best LMGs, I think. Or not necessarily one of the best, but I guess you could say OP. I think it's still one of the better picks. Also, I'd imagine a Commemoration or a Hammerhead from Onslaught would fit this slot just as well. This is really a flex spot, and really based on how you want to play. So if you're dealing with something like Tormentors or something like this, you're going to get a lot more utility out of this than you would, say, a bait and switch. And I think it's actually still a pretty decent pick. If you're not struggling or just clinging to do best DPS, I think this is probably the better pick for you as a hunter if you're rocking this build. Now, to hop into the class with the fragments and aspects, this one's going to be pretty quick, and and self-explanatory. Obviously, with the void, the destabilizing rounds and repulsor brace, we're getting that overshield from our VS Velocity Baton. And we are using that mainly to proc Stylish Executioner. Defeating a target affected by any elemental debuff grants invisibility and true sight. After performing a Stylish Execution, your next melee attack while invisible weakens targets. Obviously, we are focusing heavily on that defeating a target affected by an elemental debuff. And since we have our Shuriken, which is going to slow targets, we have our VS Velocity Baton, which makes targets destabilized upon death. We have multiple ways to proc in and out of this, and your weapons now will have volatile rounds when entering invisibility and leaving it because of your Gyrfalcon's perk. So we're able to get Stylish Executioner a lot, and you're able to see a lot of Void Explosions simply because you have volatile on top of the destabilizing already, and you're getting a perpetual overshield from the repulsor brace. It honestly fits together so well, and it's incredibly fun to play. Now, the second aspect is going to be something that's really at your discretion. You can bounce between the two. I usually bounce between Winter's Shroud or Gunpowder Gamble, but as of lately, I've been using Gunpowder Gamble a lot more, and especially since I have that Caliban's on the class item, it kind of just doubles down on the ignitions. So you have a lot of explosions, a lot of ways to clear enemies, not only just through Void and Solar, but it seems like it's really interacting with both of the verbs a lot with this build, and I think that's what I like the most about it. You're not just really locked in on doing one particular thing and having small access to each thing on Prismatic. It feels like I'm doing a lot of Solar and a lot of Void, as opposed to having a particular super or a particular melee ability, and it's just a very satisfying build, especially for Onslaught or any content like Dual Destiny or any things like those. I highly recommend this build. It's a lot of fun, and you can see in the gameplay, it's just absolutely nuking whole entire crowds, and the explosions are very satisfying. Also, we have the Fragments. First and foremost, we have Facet of Blessing, melee final blow start health regeneration, while Transcendent, melee final blow start health regeneration for you and nearby allies. So you'll be able to get that explosion and start some health regen off of the Shurikens. And next up, we have Facet of Protection. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage, while Transcendent, the effect is increased. I feel like, personally, anytime that you get more resistance, that's like a no-brainer. I feel like having 100 resilience has kind of just been like the standard for quite some time. Even whenever they nerfed what 100 resilience gave you, I still feel like most people gravitate towards that. So I always recommend anything that's going to increase your resilience and your Facet of Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy, and rapidly defeating targets with darkness energy grants grenade energy. Now for this one, I think it's just the VS Velocity Baton that we're going to be taking advantage of because we're using light damage, and since we're, it's a void, it's like void light, you're going to be able to generate more melee energy, and we already have that Bray Legacy trait on it, which is giving you that small amount of ability energy for the one that has least generated. So you're getting a lot of melee back to feed that Caliban's explosion by running Facet of Balance alone on top of that. And then next up, we have Facet of Ruin. Increases the size and damage of the burst when you shatter a stasis crystal or frozen target, and increases the area of effect of solar ignitions. So you're going to be freezing things also with your Shuriken, but then when they explode, you also get the ignition. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 upgrade right there with Facet of Ruin. And then next up and last, of course, we have Facet of Purpose. Picking up an Orb of Power grants either Amplified, Restoration, Frost Armor, Woven Mail, or Overshield based on the damage type of your super equipped. And I'm personally running Tether, so I will be getting the Overshield. And that really wraps it up for all the fragments and whatnot for this build. I highly recommend this build, folks. It's very fun, very enjoyable, and it's actually pretty team-oriented simply from the fact that you can just eliminate a whole entire area just with your Roots load alone, just with the VS Velocity Baton. And you can just swap to everything else, throw some Shurikens, and watch really satisfying explosions come from all of it. But that's really the whole build. It's been your boy Turk here at SGN Hub. If you enjoy it, dim links in description. And like I said, if you have any improvements or suggestions to enhance it, please let me know in the comments section. It's been your boy.